Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. And we just we just want to talk about our teams today. Schedules released. We want to look at our schedules. See, that's a win. That's a loss. That's a win. Oh, we're going 17 and 0. Let's go. We want to talk about our teams. Eagles, Vikings. They both have a top five as far as difficulty on their schedule, but that's just because NFC East plays NFC North, the two best divisions in the NFL. So that just makes sense. So we want to dig into that. Is there anywhere you want to start right now, Lance?
Boy, I think that's a good question, man. Kind of an underrated nugget, but I think it kind of matters. I always like seeing who gets the primetime matchups,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
Titans got zero love, no love. Like
Even they
I,
got the number one quarterback pick. Yep.
I guess I'm just kind of surprised by that because the Steelers, if I'm remembering right, I think they got four primetime games with no quarterback. How does that work? I know the NFL is insisting, hey, we don't know. Like we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is coming back or not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if
Mm-hmm.
we don't know if he's coming back or not, man, what a huge gamble that they're making because the Steelers would
Mm-hmm.
be an absolute dumpster fire if they don't have their quarterback situation figured out. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at that. I'm just like, okay, what's the game plan here? I don't know how that looks, but to me, that looks fishy. That just looks like
Yeah.
a well, that was weird. Sorry. Um, I was just gonna say that I count the single slot games. So like I
I kind of do
know,
too. So the overseas, yeah,
I don't know how you wouldn't count that as a primetime game because it's definitely
I
primetime
agree.
there.
And it's
It's
it's the
absolutely
single
primetime there.
game. So it's the solo game basically. There's no other games playing but that game. So yeah, I count that
So
as
I
prime
count
time.
that one. They
Mm-hmm.
play Cincinnati in week 7 on Prime Video. They play Green Bay the week after. So the NFL is kind of like, hey, we got to get the good games early. Like that kind of seems to be their mindset because then they don't play until week 15 on ESPN against Miami. Talk about a prime moving out of that spot candidate. I don't know if that one's going to
Mm-hmm.
stay there long term, but wow,
Mm-hmm.
what a puzzling decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that I heard that they can flex Sunday night games as early as week five, as
Okay.
early as week five. And I think that Monday night games are by like week 12 in that range, that those can be flexed. But yeah, there's a good chance that there's some Steelers games that do not get on this national TV. I think the league kind of has some insights on some things. So like you said, the Titans got zero. So most likely they're not going to be the greatest of teams this year. Um, but it's interesting that when you count like the solo games as prime time games, which I agree, Minnesota has seven of those. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it a lot. And there's some prime time flex options down toward the end of the season. I mean, for a great example, week seven against the Vikings and Eagles is just an 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock game. That's got to be changed. That's got to be a primetime matchup. They can't just
I
leave
would
it
agree
at
with you.
afternoon. Just no one can watch it. But because I mean, we're gonna go through our schedule picks here. But spoiler alert on mine, a high chance I believe the Minnesota Vikings are undefeated going into that Eagles game. Just the way the schedule gets laid out. The first five games, then we have a bye, then it's Eagles, and those first five games are absolutely winnable games. Now, once we get to the week seven, then Minnesota's schedule really ramps up. But you're telling me that a 5-0 Vikings, possibly 5-0 Vikings, and possibly Eagles, that's not going to be a prime matchup? Come on. They got to flex that out if that's the case.
I hear you, man. I We'll see what happens. Something you appreciate, Andrew, is I was watching Mike Florio and Chris Sims breaking down the schedule and talking about some Eagles matchups.
Hmm.
And the Eagles, I think they said they have six 1 p.m. or 1 p.m. slot games, and they were complaining about some of the games. But it was so
Okay.
funny because Florio was talking about like which teams were playoff teams last year. He's like, yeah, they're going to play the Rams and the Buccaneers. And I'm trying to think, there's one more team that he threw out, but he was trying to get to the four. And the team that he kept forgetting was the Minnesota Vikings.
Is the Vikings. The
But
team
you get why
he's a
that's
big
a
fan of the Vikings too.
yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
part that I thought was
Hmm.
hilarious is how did the guy that's a huge Minnesota Vikings fan forget that his team was a playoff team last
Well,
year?
he's a huge Minnesota Vikings fan, but everything he writes is anti-Vikings. It's like he tries to kind of do some reverse psychology because
Reverse
he's
juju.
always bashing on the Vikings. Like they're gonna finish, yeah, they're gonna finish 9-7 this year, or they're like the 14th best team. It's I'm like, really? Come on, you're a fan. Yeah, I think he does some reverse psychology on that.
Well, I mean, you talked about in our last episode, Andrew, but it's a little painful sometimes being a Vikings fan. You guys have gone through some dark days, and Florio has definitely
It
seen
is.
some more sports than we
It
have.
is.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And he was the one that last year's draft, not this past draft, but last year's draft was saying that Minnesota was going to trade Justin Jefferson for like a few first round picks. And I forgot who he says we were going to draft. Who did he say we were going to draft? What receiver in last year's draft was it? I forget who it was, but he was hearing steam that we're going to trade Jefferson and draft. Oh, it was Malik Neighbors. It was Malik Neighbors. He said we're going to trade Jefferson, get Malik Neighbors, and get some more extra capital. I was like, really? This is right before he's that Jefferson. But Florio's awesome, but sometimes he has some opinions that are kind of out there a little bit. There's a little bit out there. I know a lot of it is based off some things he's hearing, but I mean, he can hear anything from anybody and he could run with it. That's how Florio is.
yeah. I mean, I'd say he's just another fountain of information. That is how I would
Yeah.
categorize him. He's not the source.
Yeah.
He's not the only source. Just another source,
Hmm.
another fountain of information that you can rely on, glean a little more information. So
Hmm.
that's been my view on it.
Yeah.
Am I missing? Oh, I forgot. I was originally before my computer so rudely decided to continue to be difficult during this recording, which I apologize in advance for those issues. Please don't hold it against me. It's not my fault. Um, but it's crazy that the Chiefs have seven primetime matchups. Seven. And
Mm.
that's not including any other, like the nuanced ones like we talked about overseas, single slot. But
Hmm.
seven games. But the part that was more surprising to me was the Cowboys at six. I
Hmm.
thought they were ripe for, maybe a little caution because, how much can you trust Dak Prescott not getting injured and disappointing? And
It's all about the money. Dallas Cowboys bring money.
yeah,
That's all it is to me. Yeah.
really surprised about that one. The other part that was interesting, and I forgot about this, is that there's three teams that didn't get primetime matchups: the Titans, the Saints, the Browns. I mean, wow.
That could be
Wow.
the three worst teams.
I, I do have to admit, I do like this system because,
Well,
uh,
actually, the Browns do play the Vikings overseas.
well, I just meant true primetime games, right?
Yeah.
If we're going off the true games, which I think
Hmm.
now because of overseas, it almost changes it. I
Hmm.
wish they would just put single slot games, maybe something like
Yep.
that.
Single slot games. Yep. Yep.
Um, like if they said something like that, I think that would be better. Here's the thing. I think that one of the struggles you have if you're scheduling the NFL is what matters more. Does it matter that you get every team a shot for all their fan base to see them, regardless of
Hmm.
their TV streaming? Or
Hmm.
is it more important to get more competitive matchups in those time slots? And it is a
Yeah, it's
little
tough.
difficult. It's
Yeah, that's
it's
tough.
difficult. And not to mention, if you do put them on, you're basically telling the network that you're giving them that they're a redhead stepchild.
Hmm.
Like you get the problem games, you get the games that aren't fun. So
Hmm.
it's a really tough act to balance out. So, um, I don't know. I'm not super annoyed about it though when I think about it because I don't feel like that it's like I don't feel like it's like NBA problem where big markets only get games, small markets don't. I think it's just
Mm,
more of a good teams get games, bad teams don't. And I
yeah.
feel like that
Yeah.
is not always the case in the NBA. Like for example,
Yeah.
if there's like two similar games going at the same time and it's the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe Utah Jazz and Oklahoma City Thunder, let's say that two small market teams, but one's really competitive, the Thunder, or the Los Angeles Lakers and uh, the Brooklyn Nets. No one that's like really, really
Hmm.
good, but the big market team. The NBA, I feel like will always choose the big market team.
Yep. Always.
And I don't think that
Yep.
that is true for the NFL. I think the NFL does a better job at saying, no, 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 this matchup's going to get us more eyeballs. Go with this matchup.
Yeah,
Um,
especially the Thursday night games. The Thursday night games, sometimes it's like, but I'll still watch it. It's like it's kind of like some meh matchups, like not great teams, but they put them on there because they want to make sure that, like you said, those fans can watch those games and be happy about it, instead of just the big market teams that kind of suck. They get teams
well,
on there that maybe not the best, but that way they can get their eyes on it.
and it's kind of interesting that they put the Eagles Giants in an Amazon Prime slot. That's one of the. I don't think that that's like always the way it is, but I did find that interesting because
Hmm.
Vikings Eagles is happening the week right after. I would have flipped that
Hmm.
if it was me. I would have said no, no, no. We're going to put the Eagles Vikings in prime time because you think about it. I remember when the Eagles and
Hmm.
Vikings played on Prime. Was that 2 years ago? I think it was like a week two game.
I was 2 years in a row that they played week two, either a Monday night or a Thursday night game. It was
Yeah,
two
and
years in
and
a
I just
row.
think those were two really fun matchups. Like I
They were
really
really
enjoyed it.
good. Yeah. Hmm.
Maybe the first one wasn't as good from your perspective. It was great from my perspective. The second game, what I think was good to both of us in the sense it was a nail biter. It came down to the end, lots of
Hmm.
back and forth. So, but I mean, overall, I can't complain. I feel like that.
Hmm.
I like the way the NFL does their matchups because I feel like they just do a good job of like really trying to find matchups that'll bring people in to be interested. Not so much about big market, but appealing matchups, appealing stories,
Hmm.
something that just adds a little bit more to it. So
Hmm.
we'll see how it plays out, but I'm excited. There's some good storylines this year that are shaped up for the NFL season.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Week one, Cowboys, Eagles at Jerry World. No, not at Jerry World, but at Philly. Philly gets to lower the banners right on top of the Cowboys' faces, like you've been saying. And for my side, interesting is Vikings at Chicago. JJ McCarthy is an Illinois native. He was living right close to the Chicago Stadium. So it's not going to really be an away game for him in a way because that's the area he's used to. So some interesting storylines.
Yeah, I agree. I'm uh I'm really interested to see how the Vikings look in week one. It's going to be a huge showing to kind of figure out how
Hmm.
excited the NFL should be about the trajectory that McCarthy could take. Um, so
Hmm.
I'll be really excited to follow that to see how that matchup goes for him. I was going to say the Chiefs
And what I'm
Chargers
excited on that
game being
matchup
in.
is Ben Johnson versus. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Ben Johnson. Go ahead.
I was going to say for that Bears and Vikings game, I'm really excited for Ben Johnson against Brian Flores another round because they go at each other. That Week 18 game, I think Brian Flores won that game. It's just Sam Darnold couldn't score any points. So that's going to be fun to see the offense versus defensive. Those are two brainiacs that have all kinds of craziness in their back pocket. That's going to be awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Interested to see how the Chicago O line's going to do. How complete are they going to look? How well are
Yeah,
they going to set up?
yeah.
It's a big
I don't know.
storyline.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah. Joe's a little older. I think he's like 32, 33. So he's probably got a couple more years left in him, but I don't know. Jonah Jackson just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. He's been an average O-line, maybe slightly above average guard. Is it a huge improvement? I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they did what they could. That's the way I would phrase it. They made the moves that they could make
Yeah.
this offseason to become a more competitive team. And I talked about this
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
Raiders, and it's a fair question to ask though. What conversations are you having behind closed doors? What are the
Hmm.
expectations you have? I know in public they're going to say get to the Super Bowl, but that's just not realistic. It's not. That is not the goal that
Hmm.
you should have as an organization. The Seattle Seahawks, for example, your goal should not be winning the Super Bowl. Your goal should be being a competent football team that can maybe perhaps steal the division from the Rams. If that is the goal for the season, very realistic,
Hmm.
absolutely possible. Keep your team engaged, keep them focused. For the Bears,
Yep.
I can't be the division. To me, if I'm the coach, that cannot be my goal. My goal is to make the playoffs. If I make the playoffs, then that's great. Doesn't matter if
Hmm.
I'm the seventh seed. Doesn't matter if I'm the fifth seed. If you make the playoffs, then I feel like you can feel really good about what you did that year and how productive you were.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that first week's going to be a huge test. But the NFC North, man, it is stacked, stacked. Best
Hmm.
team, best division from top to bottom. I think that your number four team, which right now would be the Bears, is better than our number four team, the Giants. I don't even think that'd be close.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard someone say it today. I forgot what I was listening to, but the NFC North doesn't have any like bottom feeders. Doesn't have anyone
Mm-mm.
trying to fight for like the top five pick. Is there going to be a fourth place team that misses the playoffs? Yes, but they're going to be probably like a 7-8 win team in that range. They're not going to be a 3-14 team like the Giants or the Saints could be. It's going to be a team that fights and scratches and claws, but just can't get enough wins.
Yeah. Well, any other notes you want to get into before predictions?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's a good time to jump into it. You want to go Eagles side first or Vikings side first?
I feel like we got a good lead into the Vikings, so I think you should go first.
Okay, you want me to go through all 18 games? Then we'll go over the Eagles all 18 games.
I mean, I think that'd be fair. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I got the schedule up. I will go one at a time here. And it's such an interesting schedule for the Vikings because just off the cuff, their hardest games. So games like Joe Burrow, Bengals, games like Lamar Jackson, Ravens, games like Jaden Daniels, Commanders, Jalen Hurts, Eagles, all at home. That's honestly huge. The only away game that's not division that's really tough is going to be the Chargers, honestly. Maybe the Cowboys, because the Cowboys might be something, but I need to see it first for the Cowboys. But all those top tier teams are all at home. That's killer. Because if you look at the Lions, all those games are on the road. And I'll get into their schedule at some point, maybe this episode, maybe another. But I have some fear that the Lions might drop a little bit because their away schedule's brutal. It's going to be tough for them to truly get 11 wins this season because their away schedule is crazy. But we might get into that later time. For now, let's get into the purple, the Minnesota Vikings. So week one at Chicago, Monday Night Football. So I'm not going to say that the Bears are a really good team until I see it. So right now, I'm picking the Vikings. The Vikings have the better overall team. Their coaching staff is intact. Their only real question mark is their quarterback because we haven't truly seen it yet. The practice, you see all the right things. The coaches say all the right things, but that's really their only true question mark if you look at it. So I'm picking the Vikings in that game. It's at Chicago. That's a tough place to play. But the key thing is, it's not in the wintertime. It's September. So there's not going to be snow. It's not going to be horrible weather. It's just going to be an away game. But I think Chicago's going to take some time to really get their groove on, really understand what kind of team they want to be. So I'm taking Minnesota in that game. Week two, Sunday night football against the Falcons. So we got back-to-back primetime games. And this is interesting. It's a home game, and is Kirk Cousins still on the team? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But he's not going to be playing unless Penix is hurt. So, but yeah, I'm not really high on the Falcons. They got some pieces, but they're just not a complete team. Their O line's okay. Their defense is fine. They drafted two edge rushers. Maybe they'll do something. Draft two edge rushers in the first round, but I'm just I'm not seeing it yet. So I got the Vikings winning that game at home, going 2-0. And then we get the Bengals coming into town. This is going to be fun. It's a home game. That's the key. And the Bengals don't have a defense. Trey Hendrickson's already saying he's not going to play on that contract. And I don't know if the Bengals are going to pay him because they're been historically a really cheap team and they don't really have a lot of money. And if they don't have Hendrickson, I don't think they have a shot. I know Joe Burrow's going to put up points, but I don't know if he's really ever played Brian Flores. So that's going to be really fun. I think this is going to be a shootout, but it's at home. I got the Vikings. I mean, everyone's on the Bengals bandwagon, but until they show something on defense, I can't really take them seriously. They're a great offensive team, but you need defense to win games, and they don't got one. So I got the Vikings. If this was at Cincy, I probably would take Cincy, but it's at home. So I got the Vikings going 3-0. Then they take their trip overseas. And this honestly the schedule couldn't have started better because both overseas games in London and in Dublin were away games. So that takes two away games off our schedule and just neutral site. And honestly, the Vikings fans travel really well. It might be closer to home games than away games. So they got the Steelers week 4. I don't know what to expect from the Steelers. They don't have a quarterback. Right now, they don't have a quarterback. If they pick up Aaron Rodgers, this could be interesting, but they don't have anybody right now. So I got Vikings beating the Steelers. I don't, Steelers have a good defense, but they have nothing on offense right now. DK Metcalf's going to get frustrated because, Mason Rudolph can't throw the ball downfield, and he's going to get sacked 18 times by our edge rusher. So got the Vikings going 4-0 going into week 5 versus Cleveland. And that's just it's the Browns. Do I gotta say anything else? That's a win. We're going 5-0 into the bye week. But this is where it gets interesting. This is where the schedule gets rough. The next 4 games: home against the Eagles, at the Chargers, which the Chargers don't super scare me, but the schedule scares me. That's a tough schedule right there because we're coming off a game against the Eagles, physical game. Then it's a Thursday night. We have to go all the way to LA. So that's tough. Then at Detroit, then home against Baltimore. Those next 4 games are brutal. Um, so and it's coming off a bye that helps, but I believe the Eagles play Thursday night the week before. So they have a mini bye. So it's not really going to help out a lot because we're coming from 2 weeks overseas, have to adjust to, going to our time zone again. So I think that if both teams were just in the middle of schedule, there were no buys, no nothing, this would be fun. I'd be really interested. But I kind of think Minnesota has a slight disadvantage because going overseas. And the Eagles are just a better overall team anyway. So I got the Eagles winning this game. So Minnesota goes 5-1. And then at Los Angeles, I mean, again, if this was anywhere else, I'd be like, nah, Vikings will win this. But since it's Thursday night after a physical fight against the Eagles, this is very similar to last year when after our bye we played the Lions, came down to the wire, we barely lost. Then we played the Rams and we were just beat up and the Rams beat us. So I kind of see the Chargers winning this game. The Chargers aren't a better team. The Vikings are a better team than the Chargers, but this is a classic schedule loss. I don't see I don't see Minnesota being able to ramp back up for Thursday night football. So I got them 5-2 right now. And then we go to at Detroit. I think we win this game. I think we win this game. I think we get back on track. I I have to see Detroit's change in their coaching staff right now because I think that's going to be a downgrade, and I don't think they're going to be as lethal as before. So I think Minnesota goes to Detroit and wins that game. Then week 10 against the Ravens at home, that is gonna be so much fun. So right now, I'm gonna say that Lamar Jackson and King Henry beat the Vikings just because I don't think we've really ever played them. And the Ravens are just a really good team. Are they a good playoff team? That's a different story. Regular season, they're really good. So I'm gonna pick the Ravens to win this game, but I will give you an interesting nugget that I've kept in my brain for a long, long, long time. So there was a Thursday night football game, Dolphins against the Ravens, when the Ravens were just killing everybody a few years ago. This is probably Lamar Jackson's second year. And Brian Flores was the coach of the Dolphins. And he came up with a scheme that just destroyed Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had no time to throw, and he had his worst game he's ever had. And that just stays up here. Brian Flores remembers. He remembers how he beat Lamar Jackson. So I just putting that out there. I'm still picking the Ravens to win that game because they are a better overall team. But I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Flores has some tricks up his sleeve. But then we got through our gauntlet, and I think I had us going 1-3 in that. So we lost to the Eagles, the Chargers, and the Ravens. Get a win in Detroit. So I think out of those four, we get one win. So I'm giving Detroit. Could it be the Chargers? Maybe. Could it be the Ravens? Maybe. But I'll give it to Detroit, just kind of in the middle there. Then we're home against Chicago. I think we sweep the Bears. Again, I have to see this team before I can truly take them seriously. So I'm gonna take us winning at home against the Bears. And then we go to Lambeau Field. And what's going to be interesting here is this is middle to end of November, November 23rd. So is it going to be super cold yet? I don't know. The weather could be an issue. Um, and you know how I feel about Jordan Love. I I don't believe in him. He is just his mechanics are bad when he's pressured. I just don't see it. But I'm not going to be just wild enough to say it's a sweep. Can I see it happening? Well, absolutely. But I'm not going to predict it right now. So I will say at Lambeau, we lose. Home against Green Bay, end of the year. Spoiler alert, we'll win that one. Um, but I could definitely see us taking both games in Lambeau. Definitely. Then at Seattle, November 30th, we always play at Seattle. I don't truly, truly believe in this team just yet. They changed a lot of things. They traded some of their best players. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe there'll be something, but I don't think they will. I got the Vikings winning that game. Then week 14, home against the Commanders. I mentioned this in our previous episode, but I kind of think the Commanders take a small step
Did
back.
you have the Seahawks winning that one or the Vikings?
The Vikings. I had the Vikings beating the Seahawks. Um, and then against the Commanders, and this is at home. That's the key thing here. I think the Commanders take a small step back. They picked up Debo Samuel, but he's always hurt. They got some O-line help. That's awesome. And Laramie Tunsil, but I don't know. I don't know. I just have a feeling that they're going to take a step back. And I have the Vikings beating the Commanders at home. If this was at Washington, I probably would take Washington, but I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. Um, and then week 15, we're at Dallas, Sunday night football. So Minnesota's a better team. They are. But there's always in your schedule, there's always a team that you shouldn't lose to, but you do. And I'll pick this one because Dallas is an unknown. They changed a lot of things. We just talked about them in a previous episode for a long time. They made a lot of good moves in the offseason. And I'll just give this as a random, we didn't truly show up for this game. Dallas got the best of us. It's at Dallas, at Jerry World. It's going to get loud. So I'll give us a loss there. But to end the year, this is where we truly show out and we get some momentum going into the playoffs. At New York, the only downside of that is it's December 21st, so the weather's probably going to be bad, but it's New York. They're probably going to be playing Jackson Dart and their coaching staff's going to be fired by then. So Minnesota wins that game. Christmas Day, home against Detroit. Short week, but it's a short week for Detroit as well. It's at Minnesota. Minnesota gets this one. I say we split with Detroit and we split with Green Bay. So week 18, home against Green Bay. We win that game as well. We end on a three-game win streak. So I don't know what that was. I believe that was probably 12 and 5. I think I gave us 5 losses.
So wait, you have the Vikings beating the Lions on December 25th?
Yes. So I have us beating the Giants, then the Lions, and then the Packers. Three-game win streak.
All right. So wait, what about this Vikings game back here on November 2nd against the Lions? I thought you had
Oh
them
yeah, I
winning.
did have them winning that game. I did have winning that game. Okay. I'm keeping with it. I'll just say that we sweep the Lions.
All right. All right. I like the boldness, Andrew. So that means that you've got them going 12
That's
and
five
5.
losses. 12 and 5. Yep.
Wow. All righty. I mean, that's bold. I like it. I like it. Could see it happening. It's possible. Let's put a big
Yeah, I just think that the key thing is our toughest games are at home. That's the thing. We're gonna have our crowd behind us. I still have us losing a couple of those, like against Baltimore, um, and going to Dallas. Win those random losses, and against Philly at home, I have us losing that one as well. So, but you know, I believe in this team. I believe in JJ McCarthy. 12 and 5.
oh. Well, I think it's
I like the
possible.
graphic you got going.
I don't know why it's keep giving me that circle. That is awful. We all know what you said, Andrew.
Yes, 12 dash something.
12 dash, it's imaginary. It doesn't matter.
There it is.
Is that good
There it
enough to get?
is.
Is that good enough to get first place? I mean, 2 wins over the Lions. It's close. You're really close.
Well, spoiler alert for when we get into it, I don't think the Lions are getting to 12 wins. I really don't.
I mean, it's
I've seen their
possible.
schedule. I'll click on their schedule real quick and just give you some highlights. So the Lions, they have a stretch here. So this is their away games. Of course, at Green Bay, at Minnesota. That's going to be tough. But listen to the rest of their away games. At Baltimore, at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, at Washington, at Philly, at the Rams, home against Tampa Bay. So that's brutal. Home against Dallas. Dallas is going to be a pushover this year. I mean, they got to basically win all their home games and hope to split their away games in order to get to 12 wins. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if I see it. This might be a 10-11 win team right here just because of the crazy difficult schedule. And everyone would say, well, it's the same schedule as Minnesota. Not really. Minnesota doesn't play the Rams. Minnesota doesn't play the Chiefs. And Minnesota has these tough games at home. That's the key difference.
Yeah, I mean, I respect it. It's all good. By the way, is my audio coming through okay for you?
Yeah.
Okay. You sounded a bit strange on my AirPods, so I switched them out and I'm just going without the AirPods for
Okay.
a little bit, seeing if that'll help.
Okay. I like it.
My computer's in an interesting mood. I think it's just really mad at me because, we're double timing tonight, Andrew. We're
Hmm.
trying to be there for our listeners. We want to react. We want to give a breakdown
Hmm.
of what we're thinking. Are we ready to pivot over to the Eagles?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Uh, man, we'll see how this goes. Um, boy, I'm going to give them a win in week 1. I have gone back
Hmm.
and forth about this. I think the NFL is treating this too much like an automatic win. And I don't think that that is the way this should be approached. This is
Hmm.
this is a really tough matchup. Dallas is going to want to win. Um,
Oh yeah, they're gonna be highly motivated.
Jerry has brought up so many times how much he has not liked the Eagles' approach. He keeps preaching that it's going to end in flames, and 2 Super Bowls later, it's just not coming to fruition, Jerry. It could end now, but we're two Super Bowl trophies later after you've told us that this was going to fall apart and never work.
And you've been
So
to three.
yeah. Um, okay, moving on to the Chiefs. I don't know what to think about the Chiefs, Andrew. Um, they're still a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, was the Travis Kelce we saw in the Super Bowl the Travis Kelce we're going to see next year? That is my
Mm-hmm.
biggest question. And actually, let me put this up so you can see what I'm looking at too. But um, I just want to know what are we going to see from Travis Kelce because he was a non-factor at the end of the or for the Super Bowl. He did almost nothing.
Right.
And if that's the Travis Kelce they have going into next year, they will lose again. Like they will lose to the Eagles again because that is their key matchup. He has to come in. He has to play well. When I look at their receiving core, I mean, they'll have Rashee Rice, but like, let me put it this way. Am I more scared of the Chiefs' targets at receiver and tight end than I am of the Cowboys? No. Am I more scared than what I see
Mm.
at the Commanders? No. Am I more scared than what I see in Green Bay? It's close. Depends on Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
I will give the leeway to the Chiefs, but it's closer than it should be.
Yeah.
Lions, absolutely the Lions. Vikings, I'd go with the Vikings. I mean, the Buccaneers, I feel the same way. Like a
Yeah.
lot of these the Rams, I would go the Rams. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
watching that Super Bowl last year, the lack of receivers played a huge role in the game. So did the line. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying the line didn't play a role, but um, it wasn't just, sacks. That wasn't the only problem. Mahomes read the field poorly. And so I'm going to give it to the Eagles, but it's
Yeah.
tight. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see how that goes. Rams, Eagles. I don't,
Rematch of the second round.
coming back to Philly, got to deal with Saquon. I don't feel like the Rams picked up anyone that was really a game changer for defense, which will still be a
Mm-hmm.
problem for him. And I don't know about what we have in Devontae Adams. So I'm going to give the Eagles a win. Um, a place where I think you can feel the safest giving a loss is Tampa. That has always been a problem for the Eagles.
It's strange. Like you guys can knock out the best of teams, but Tampa, who's not a bad team, don't get me wrong, but Tampa just seems to have y'all's number sometimes.
It really comes down to Todd Bowles to me.
Yeah.
I think that we
Yeah.
haven't seen Brian Flores, so this is also interesting. What's it going to look like when Brian Flores comes to town and faces the Eagles? That's going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I think that one's going to be close. But for me, I just think that Todd Bowles does a good job. But here's another underrated factor that people are going to forget about. The Buccaneers signed a defensive end. That defensive end used to play for Philly. This defensive
Reddick.
end
Mm-hmm.
missed out on the Super Bowl and also had one of the worst seasons thanks to the fiasco that unfolded in New York. Who's he going to blame for
Mm-hmm.
that? Maybe a little bit New York, but also a little bit Philly. I think the Hassan
Yeah.
Reddick is going to be motivated to have a really good game.
That's
So
fair. Yeah.
keep an eye out. I'm just saying, put that on the radar. This is going to be one he's got circled on the map. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and this has never been confirmed, but I have heard from multiple reporters in the Philly circle that the Eagles somewhat blamed the locker room fall apart for what happened with Hassan Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
That he played a role. I don't know what role that
Mm-hmm.
was. I don't know how fair it is to really say, hey, like it's on him, but it's a part of it. Let's move on to the Broncos. I really like the Broncos. We've talked about how much I
Yeah.
like the Broncos.
Yeah.
I don't like Bo Nix against Vic Fangio. That does not feel like a good matchup. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so my concern is if the Broncos get behind and they are in Philly for this game, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go with the loss for the Broncos. But that is not me saying that that can't happen, like it can't go the other way. I think it could. Um, Out of all the matchups, I think the two that I'm the most concerned about in the first 5 weeks, Rams, Cowboys. Those are the two that I think are the most like upset alert. I just think the Buccaneers
Yeah.
is automatic loss. We don't travel well to Tampa Bay. We have a horrible history there. Do we finally turn the corner and beat Tampa? I have to see it at this point. I thought they were going to do it last year. I know they didn't have Brown. I know they didn't have Smith. I just don't believe it right now. The Giants game, I don't even think we need to waste our breath on.
No.
We can just move on to that one. I think what you said for the Vikings game is my exact perspective, and it's why I'm picking the Eagles. If it wasn't
hmm
for that, I think it's totally possible
It'd
that,
be a coin flip.
yeah. I mean, they're just such a
Yeah.
good team. But I just come back to the Brian Flores. Brian Flores and Todd Bowles are the two best defensive-minded coaches in the NFL right now. I stand by that.
I would
I
agree.
think absolutely
Yep.
accurate. I think D'Amico Ryans is close. He's close.
Yeah.
But I feel
He's
like I've
good.
seen Brian Flores and Todd Bowles do more for their team to put them in a spot to win. I would put Vic Fangio in the conversation. The only problem is it's a one season sample size, so I don't think it's fair. Like we've had good moments with Vic Fangio, but I don't think anyone expected what happened with Vic Fangio last year. I mean, that
hmm
was truly unprecedented for the level of skill the team played at. So for
hmm
me, he's in there. He's in the contention for one of the top defensive coordinators, but I got to give it to the guys that have already shown it year after year after year. There's a
Yeah.
track record for those coaches. I think that they're going to beat the Giants again. Um, I am going to take a quick moment to just say it is absolutely asinine that the Eagles will be playing the Giants 2 times in 3 weeks. What are we doing?
That is crazy.
Here's the other crazy part, and I'll save it for later, but it's crazy. We'll get to it. The tush push game. We're going to tush push our way down the field for a
Oh,
touchdown on that first drive if it's
yes.
still in there. And even if we
Yes.
can't tush push our way down the field, we'll still QB sneak it down the field, and we'll do it at least 20
Yeah.
times. And then I want Jalen
Yes.
Hurts to Lambeau leap up into the stands.
Yes. And I will wear Eagles memorabilia all week long if that happens. I'll wear it on the show. We can play the Eagles theme song. That'd make my day if even if it's just one drive where it was only the tush push or QB sneak every single play. That needs to happen. Prove a point. Come on, Nick. Please do it. Please.
I am so disgusted with the Green Bay Packers.
hmm
It's yeah. I don't like it. This is just a hunch, Andrew. I feel like the Eagles were given the Cowboys as a consolation prize for what's about to happen to them. I feel like the NFL was like, we're about to do dirty. Here's that game against the Cowboys at home for the opener, so that way you can drop the banner down on them. I just, I don't know. I feel like there's more at
Yeah.
play here. Why would you not pick the Commanders for week one? I mean, really, why would you not pick the Commanders and Eagles in week one?
Or Super Bowl rematch with the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the Chiefs are on the road though, so I could see why they'd say that doesn't work. Um, I mean, there has been a couple times in the past where the Super Bowl winner hasn't been at home, but I could
Yeah.
understand it. But the
Yeah.
Lions, like, why are the Lions the one?
hmm
Oh, okay. This one's tricky. I feel like the Eagles are going to be extra motivated to beat the Packers, and I think they're going to wallop them. But
hmm
I think that it's going to be followed up with a loss to the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night
That's
Football.
that's fair because they put so much emotion in making sure that they destroyed the Packers that they maybe had a little let down emotionally for the next game. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I think it's possible they could win, but I am
Yeah.
not banking on it. So I'm going to give it a loss. It sucks. It hurts. I hate saying that, but um, Dan Campbell feels like a Todd Bowles coach to me. This is not a guy I relish the opportunity to play if I'm the Eagles. I feel like he's just going to do things to get in Nick's mind. Here's another thing, too. Nick doesn't get enough credit for this, but he is so good at little tiny details that get overlooked,
Mm.
that people don't appreciate. Um, I can't remember what game it was, Andrew, but there was a game that a wide receiver fumbled the football and the Eagles recovered it. And I'm trying to think which game that was. Was it against Washington in the playoffs? I think it was, but they didn't cover up the football and it was fumbled. The Eagles recovered, but Nick talked about how just a few years ago, Quez Watkins was going down the field, caught the pass,
Mm,
fumbled it, totally changed the course of the game. If he holds on to it, we score. It's over. We beat the
hmm
Commanders. We don't lose that game. We're still undefeated. So I just feel like that kind of is Dan Campbell. So I think he does some of those same things back. So we'll see what they do. The Lions know they'll have to win.
hmm
That will be a game that's going to decide playoff seeding in a major way. Um,
hmm hmm
but I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. There's losses on the schedule. There's no way the Eagles don't lose a game to me. I don't see how you get through it clean slate. And then the other part is that you have the Cowboys right afterwards. And I don't think the Eagles let up against the Cowboys. I think they're going to be motivated. I think they're going to be focused. Um, the last year was the first time the Eagles have swept the Cowboys, I think, since like 2011. It has been a
Wow.
long time. So we're now back into the swing of we own this rivalry. We know how to beat them. Um, I just I think the Eagles are a team that get better as they play, as they go along. If they keep this identity they had from last year, and from two
hmm
years or from 3 years ago, a team that just continues to build. The Cowboys are a team that I feel like continues to fall apart. Like that has kind of been their
hmm
identity over the past decade. They can start strong, they have good stretches, but they can't hold up as the tough gets going, or as the going gets tough. Bears, Eagles. I can't pick the Bears. It's the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's Black Friday. I think they're going to be
hmm
highly motivated. It's their black game. Like I'm pretty sure if the Eagles don't go all black, throw out the all black uniforms. What were we saving them for if we don't wear them on Black Friday?
hmm
Seriously, just put them
hmm
straight into the trash if you don't wear them. We've talked about the Chargers. I'm not big on the Chargers. I don't see
Yeah.
a
Neither
loss
am
there.
I.
I don't see it. I struggle with it. Um, we'll see. I think the Eagles are going to pull that one out. The team that I'm watching right now, I think this is the sneakiest team, is the Raiders. I'm going to give the Eagles a win right now, but that is the upset alert. Watch out. They could take you down. So,
And it's right before you travel to Washington. So yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. I think that I'm going to give the Eagles a loss here. They're going to split with Washington. I feel like that's going to happen again. And it's either
Okay.
here or it's in week 18. I'm going to go week 18 for the loss. I think they're going to, I think they're going to go to Buffalo and I think they're going to win. I feel good about that one. And I feel good about them going against the Commanders. It's a little aggressive, but like the more I think about the matchups, the harder it is for me to justify a loss. I can't see
hmm
it. The argument that was there for me with the Chiefs, it's not there anymore. I watched them. I just don't. Do the Chiefs have enough pieces to beat the Eagles? And right now, I'd say no. I don't see it. I think they're going to be a great team. I think they could get back to the Super Bowl. And then once we're in the Super Bowl again, it's a whole different equation.
hmm
The other part that I forgot to mention is, and I've read a lot about this, is the rest factor. The Chiefs play one game later, true, right? So it's like 1 day difference in rest. What big deal is it? The Eagles are playing at home. The Chiefs are playing in Brazil. There's going to be a huge rest
Yeah,
disadvantage. And kind of like what happened to the Eagles last year against the Falcons, that could happen this next year with the Chiefs. Um,
that's true.
the Eagles were not on their A game
That's
against the
true.
Falcons. That
Yeah.
was a grueling game as an Eagles fan to watch because we should have won that game. There were so many moments where it was like we should win, but I don't. They just didn't have it come together. Um, one other factor I'd say as I look into the schedule is a lot of this really depends on our offensive coordinator. We had a major shift or switch at offensive coordinator with Kevin Patullo
Yeah.
taking over, so I still see it. Um, the only games that I think are kind of like I could have gone the other way, I'd say Rams, one Cowboys game, one Bills game. But I think at best we're going 11-6. Like I think that's like or at worst. Um, I feel really good. I think the Eagles have done a good job this offseason of not losing talent. We didn't lose Dallas Goedert. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. Uh,
Okay, so 14-3.
we're probably going to laugh at me later, Andrew, for these dumb picks that I just made.
Is that the same record you guys had last year? 14-3?
It is the same record.
Okay.
That was not by, designed to do the same record. It struggles for me. What would you do? I guess I should have done that for yours, but where would you pick different than me?
So on yours, I mean it's so hard to win 14 games in this league. So I probably would have put one, maybe two more losses at some random spots because 12 wins is hard to do,
Mhm.
but doable. So just off the cuff, that Washington, Buffalo, Washington, that's tough. I might have had a loss at Buffalo, um, or I would have had the at Kansas City. One of those two. I probably would have given an L.
That's
Maybe
fair.
both. I'm not sure, but definitely one of those two. I would
That's
have
fair.
had an L. I would have had you guys going 13, maybe 12 wins in that range. Um, because yeah, it's so hard to win 14 games in this league. With the way the NFC happened last year, with the Lions winning 15 and Eagles and Vikings winning 14, that is rare. Very rare.
That's fair. That's fair. The I should have mentioned it when I was picking the Bills game. I think the tipping point is I think the Eagles are going to be
Hmm.
just as bitter towards the Bills as they are towards the Packers because the Bills have been one of the bigger
Hmm.
people speaking out against
Yeah,
Bush too. And I should
that's
have
fair. That is a good point.
Rams. I should have mentioned them too. Rams, Packers, Bills. They've been the three biggest proponents, at least in the national media, mentioning their distaste for the play.
Hmm.
It's tough to say, but I can see some really big emotions coming out in those games.
Hmm.
But you're right. It's tough to be 14-3. I don't think that this type of success is going to happen for the Eagles for forever. There is a sunset. I don't know when the sunset is. Um,
Hmm.
I feel good about this year. Um, what about playoffs?
I think we probably should look at that later on when we pick every team for the
Okay.
playoffs.
hmm
Because obviously we're both picking our team to make it. You have your team winning the division. I'm I'm probably gonna have Minnesota winning the division. I'll
hmm
have to really look into that Lions schedule and like pick it myself, but it is tough road games. So it's close between those two. But yeah, I think we should see what teams make it first and go through every division, every team. We should have an episode just on that, on who's making the playoffs in the NFC, who's making it in the AFC. But who would you have on my end? Who would you have switched to a loss or something on my end if you still have that saved?
I do. Let me let me open that back up. Do you like my fancy work, Andrew? It
It was just off the cuff. It was
was beautiful.
someone called the bullpen real quickly and boom, you got it done.
Um, honestly, I there's only one game, and it's either one of these, but the Lions.
Yeah, I figured you're gonna, yeah,
Um,
that makes total sense. Um,
I would say I would have flipped the Chargers and Lions games.
that's fair. Yeah,
That
that's
to me
fair.
would have been. I'm I'm not high on Justin Herbert. At some point we have to be all be
Oh,
willing
me
to jump
neither.
off the train, and I'm
Yeah,
not seeing it. I'm not seeing the.
yeah, me neither.
I feel like we've been sold one thing on Justin Herbert, and we're not getting it. We're not. I mean,
And now their offense is a run first, run second, run third kind of offense, and they have no receivers other than Lad McConkey, who's a good slot receiver, but not a true one.
yeah. So,
The
uh,
only thing is it's a difficult schedule situation where we're so amped up for the Eagles off of our bye week. We're playing really hard, and we probably just come up a little short, and then we're exhausted, beat up, and just bruised, having to travel to the Chargers. And the other slight nuance is if there's one person in this world that knows any way to get to JJ McCarthy, just know what makes him tick, it's Harbaugh because he coached him. So he could have some thoughts like, hey, I know how to get to McCarthy. I know if you do this particular blitz package, he sometimes doesn't read it right, whatever that might be. So there's a couple little factors. They're definitely not a better team than the Vikings. It just the way the schedule laid out for that particular game is the reason why I picked that as a loss. But I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I think that that's fair. And I do get what you're saying. And the other part that I forgot to mention is part of the reason I have gone from being on the fence about Nick Sirianni to, you know what, he's the real deal. Like I am no longer
Hmm.
questioning him. I'm no longer questioning his ability to lead the team. Um, I put question marks a couple years ago on the defensive coordinator situation. I really did think that was a huge impact for why the team fell apart. And we got
Yeah.
past that. We got another big thing that I forgot to mention too is the Eagles didn't lose any defensive coaches, not one, which I still can't believe that. I cannot believe that Kellen Moore didn't take anyone. I can't believe that another coach didn't
Hmm.
grab somebody. But that alone, that we kept every single defensive coaching staff member is paramount to us as we transition forward. So I really, really
Hmm.
like that. Um, I don't feel like the Kevin Patullo drop off could be great because even when Brian Johnson was the head coach or the offensive coordinator, we still had a competent offense. The offense was still able to move the ball. Um, our kryptonite was our defense. That Seattle game,
Hmm.
the Cardinals game, the Giants game. Uh, they were all bad games because the defense was just terrible. And by the time we got to the last game of the season, I think that the wind was so much taken out of our sails that there was just not much left to play for. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting. I definitely think that people are buying low on the Vikings. I love where they're at. I think this is a great
Yeah.
team to run. The other part too that we should mention, Andrew, is they're playing with house money. They don't have to be successful. There is no stress if I'm in the Minnesota building. Like there's no like
Hmm.
we have to win this division. And you absolutely have that in Detroit right now, especially after losing your
Yeah.
coordinators. There's like the stress of are we still as good? Can we prove this to people? Can we show them? I think if you're Green Bay, there's that stress also. Did we pay Jordan? Like, was it the right decision to pay Jordan Love? Can we actually figure
Yep.
out the answer at wide receiver? Um, like those questions are going to be a part of that whole year for them. Um,
Hmm.
can we get past the first or second round of the playoffs? Like that question is on their mind. Whereas I think the Vikings are still building. And so, like, if I'm the owner, my
Hmm.
expectations are not as forceful. But, Matt LaFleur, he's been there a while. He's had success, but he continues to get stalled in the playoffs for one reason or
And
another.
last year he couldn't beat a good team. The elite teams he lost every single time,
For,
regular season and playoffs.
true. I mean, you like to diss on the Packers, but let's be clear. He could not beat the elite teams, to be fair.
And he couldn't beat the Bears week 18.
Sure. I'm gonna find the silver linings, Andrew. We got to be fair here, right? We gotta be open-minded. Um, I know it's your rival. It's easy to beat up on him, but uh, so I mean, we'll see what happens. But I like the
Yeah.
Vikings. I think they've got a great team. I really like the pieces they put together. I think that the Javon Hargrave signing is gonna work out really well for them. Um, they treated it as a short-term situation, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm starting to slowly regret my 14-3, but I'm a man of my word. I cannot wait to have to pull this out later in the year and talk about how I stupidly picked the Eagles over the Chargers or the Broncos or the Rams. I'm sure I'm gonna have to eat my words. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Another thing I was going to mention too on the Chiefs matchup, I would be more worried if it was the Chiefs if it was later in the season. I feel like they're a better
Hmm.
later in the season team than earlier in the season team. So I think
Yeah,
that
that's another good point with the Minnesota Vikings and the Bengals. The Bengals always start out slow. They're like 1-4
Yeah.
2-5, and we got them week 3. So
Oh,
they're not going to be in a groove yet.
I, you guys are set up for the first 5 weeks, though.
Hmm.
The Falcons, I don't think will be a problem. I think you're facing the Bears at the perfect time. I think the Bears would be a team that'll be better as it gets going. Only because like
For
they
sure.
Ben
For sure.
Johnson,
They got
right?
it. They got to get some games under their belt, know what they got. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that that will be one to watch. But the Browns, I mean, come on, man. Like I wish we had your guys' top, the first 5 games. Why can't we have that?
Hmm.
It's fine.
And see, another thing that's perfect is JJ McCarthy's never played it down in a pro game. So he gets 5 games where he can get some things under his system, where very winnable games, get his groove on to hit that crazy difficult stretch with Eagles, Chargers, Lions, and Ravens. So he'll have some game time, some reps, have a little rhythm going when he gets to the really meat and potatoes part of the schedule.
It is going to be interesting that overseas trip. I really am curious to see how they're going to play. That will be
Yeah.
that will be challenging. Um,
Yeah, but I feel bad for the Browns though, because if you think about it, they have to travel and play a team that's already used to everything. Because Minnesota's going to be there for like a week and a half, already adjusted to everything, and the Browns got to travel last second, get there. They're not going to be as rested and ready. The Steelers, different story because we're both doing it at the same time. But the Browns, it's not
I
good.
I have a question for you on the international games part. Um, I was listening to an interview today. I think it's with I can't remember his name. The Ross Report, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
But he's a more like Eagles based analyst, but he's also national media. Um, but he had someone on talking about the schedule, and it was like I think it was from the NFL like scheduling office, like the VP
Hmm.
of broadcasting or scheduling. But he made the comment that the Vikings started out intrigued by the idea, but then they liked the idea and then they loved the idea. Are you surprised that the Vikings got on board with a double game overseas trip?
Not really, for a few reasons. One, we've had overseas games like the past 3 years, and Kevin O'Connell's done really well with it. Like he gets their sleep pattern changed the right way, they're eating correctly. He knows how to get them ready for it. He has experience, and I don't think he's lost in London yet. Um, so he's used to it. We have a following there in London. It's basically going to be a home game because we've been there so much. And then to have road games as neutral site games, probably borderline home games, not having to go to Pittsburgh or Cleveland during the winter times, getting those early and not even at their stadiums, that's huge advantage. Is it a slight disadvantage in the travel? Sure, but they're going to bring their families. They're going to have kind of almost like a semi vacation out there. And I heard a really interesting point from someone either yesterday or today to where during the NFL season, when you're playing home games, traveling to certain places, when you're in the United States, you're not with your team the whole time. Your home game, you go to practice, you go home away from the facility. When you're in overseas, the team is together at all times. It's almost like another training camp. So they're going to grow better chemistry while they're overseas because they're going to be with each other pretty much the whole time. So it's interesting little nuance with that. So no, I'm not surprised that KOC and staff are like, yeah, 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 let's do it. The only negative side on all of it is it's an early buy, a week 6 buy. You prefer that like around the 8 to 9, 10-ish week range. So it's a little early for the buy, but no, I think it's a huge advantage overall for having that in both. Now, if both those were home games, oh no, that'd be awful. That'd be horrible to have 2 home games overseas, but they're both away. So we get a schedule advantage with that. So I'm not surprised that the staff said that.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this is going to pan out for him, but I think that you're bringing up some good
Hmm.
points there. So, um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it's gonna turn out, but it should be fun. It should be fun. And also, I think
Yep.
to me, I always think about from the fan standpoint. I think that this is a pet peeve of mine, being an Eagles fan. I think that sports radio hosts think way too much about fans from the city and not about fans in
Mm,
general.
hmm.
Um, it's awesome if you're a fan from the city, if you get the like times that are favorable to you, but it sucks as a fan living in Idaho trying to watch Eagles games that start at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Hmm.
I hate it. It is just barely
Hmm.
too late in the day that I can actually enjoy it. Just with like kids, other things in the schedule. But if it was early in the morning, like these games are, absolutely, I would get up early. I'd be able to enjoy it,
Yep.
watch it, get to the rest of my day. Like, give me more. That is how I felt when the Eagles played the
Hmm.
Jaguars a few years ago. I loved it. Got up early,
Hmm.
enjoyed the whole game. It was amazing. Absolutely loved it. So,
Hmm.
and that's how I feel about primetime games. I love it because it's a little hard when you have kids and you're trying to watch the game, and then you're able to put your kids in bed and they can relax, and you can relax and watch the game that you've been waiting for all day,
Yep.
and they don't have to see you get mad and upset when your team does something dumb. Uh, my wife would tell you, Andrew, about the times where I get really mad and frustrated and don't fully contain my emotions. So I'm working on it, but there are absolutely times that I get frustrated. So yeah, it is what it
I
is.
get it.
It is
I
what
get it.
it is. But yeah, I think that's it for me on the scheduling notes. Anything else you'd want to add?
I don't think so. I don't think so. This was good. This was fun. We'll see how accurate we are. Watch both our
Yep.
teams are like 5-12.
Dude, I'm gonna eat it. I can already tell. I am going to eat it. Uh, I felt good. I felt like I could make that prediction confidently. We'll see. We'll see how many losses I'm off, but that will
Hmm.
be that will be interesting. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Next time we'll have to go deeper in our divisions and maybe pick the rest of the wins and losses. Because I'm telling you, Lions and Packers, I looked at the schedules. I'm not feeling it. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure you have some thoughts on the Commanders and Cowboys.
Well, it'll be interesting. We had some good conversation with Brickhouse about the Cowboys, and there
Yep.
were more to have about the Commanders, and we'll look at the Giants as well. Giants fans, you don't have to watch. It's okay. I've been there. I've had those years. Um,
Hmm.
we're going to be on Dart Watch. Maybe that's what we'll talk about. That will be the play.
That that's it.
We're gonna
That's
we're
it.
gonna we're gonna go. We're gonna find the point where Dart Watch starts, and then we switch to Dart Warning. Like
Week
20.
two.
Not that soon. Russ has to try to cook for at least a few weeks.
Yeah, and I think we both can agree if Russ, not if, but when Russ gets benched, it's not going to be Jameis. Jameis is going to just stay the backup. It's going to go straight over to Dart.
Which, if that was their plan the whole time, I really don't understand the whole process. It just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. It doesn't. If they knew they were going to take Dart, man, they should have just stuck with Jameis. It made
Hmm.
way more sense. Yeah, I just feel like they're a team that is running the front office desperate. Desperate for, well, what if things don't work out with Russ? Okay, well, or I should say, we'll bring in Jameis so we check off the box of a backup. Okay, well, James can't really win games, so who are we going to bring in here to actually start out the season? Okay, let's get Russell, and oh, now we're in the draft and Dart's dropping. Let's trade up and get Dart just in case these other two options don't work out. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm not. I liked parts of their draft. We talked about some of their draft picks. Scadaboo should be a great pickup. I just The vision is the only thing that matters. If your team doesn't have a vision, it won't succeed. And
It's
right
got
now,
nothing.
I don't
Hmm.
see a vision. I don't see what their plan is. I don't see where they're growing. John Mara, the main owner of the Giants, said at the end of last year he's getting tired. At the end of last year, saying he's going to keep him, he announced that he's getting tired. How can you run into the season and really believe you're going to be patient? It's gonna get bad. I mean, it's just the reality of it. It's gonna get bad. So
Yep.
he better be patient because if he fires them in the middle of the season, what are you doing? I, you better have a good backup plan in place. Is it Mike Tomlin? That's
Is
not
it
who they're
Bill
going
Belichick?
to. Ugh. Listen,
That's a totally different
I
discussion.
think that Bill's got enough to worry about right now, Andrew. We don't need to talk about Bill. He's got his
Mm.
own problems to figure out. I'm not saying how true it is or not true, but he has got baggage in North
There's some
Carolina
drama.
that he
There's
has
some
to
drama.
resolve. Um, if I'm New York, I am steering the complete opposite direction. Um, I'll put it this way. He is as untouchable for the New York Giants as I would have considered Rex Ryan being untouchable for the Jets last year. Just it would not be good. It could not end well. It just,
Yeah,
yeah. I know that he's got the success, but yeah, they'll make the decision or whatever decision they want to, though. Um, so we'll see, man. Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. They're going to be fighting for the number one pick next year, probably.
We'll see how it unfolds.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's it for me. So this was good, man. Looking forward to next week, and maybe we'll get some more guests on the podcasts, and
That's the plan.
talk about some drama over in the Illinois area.
Ooh,
Someone maybe go to
yes.
Minnesota and
Hmm.
not being in Chicago, and we'll dig into that another time, though.
Yes. That's going to be a fun conversation.
Yep, yep. So, all right, man, this was fun. I look forward to it. Good chat, and yeah, this was awesome.
All right. Well, everyone, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We're going to try to continue to grow this channel and a lot of guests, a lot of fun stuff for you in the future.
Thanks, everyone.